Live, and we'll go. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. Glad you're here. I got a really good guest today on. His name is Carlos Reyes, and you've known him. You've seen him. You heard of him. He's everywhere right now on social media, and I'm honored to finally get him here on the show. We're both real busy. He's especially busy, and so I said, finally got a hold of him. I said, let's get you on the podcast and talk about real estate. One of the coolest things you're going to learn about Carlos is he's an entrepreneur at heart, doing a ton of real estate deals, but he doesn't have all his eggs in one basket. And that's one of the things I want to talk to him about, because he's got a lot of experience in business and in running different businesses in different industries. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that as well. And but real quick, as an introduction, guys, if you are watching this show right now, we are broadcasting it live on Facebook and YouTube and Periscope. And so if you have questions or if you want to ask Carlos anything, now's the time to do that. And but while you're watching this right now, just say hello, tell us where you are, and just say hi. We always got somebody that's going to chime in about how awesome the St. Louis Cardinals are, even though Atlanta beat us last night. But Gregory Ballard says, Carlos, what's up? Jeff Hensley, Jeff from Asheville is here. Cool. And Big Brother in Life, what's up? What's up? And DC is from the DC area. Nice. So, Carlos, I don't think I can hear you. No, I can't hear you, man. Oh, bummer. Tyra is from Nashville. Carlos, maybe you can get off and come back on. Yeah. Maybe put a headset on. Oh, we lost Carlos. He's coming back. But so this, while he's coming back, a couple things I want to tell you guys. If you don't have my book yet, I don't know what's wrong. This is my favorite book because it has a coffee stain on it. Wholesaling Lease Options. This is my book. You can get it for free. Just go to WLObook.com. WLObook.com. See it right there on the banner. And I'll get this book to you for free. Just pay a little bit of shipping and handling and send it out to you. The other thing I want to tell you, a lot of you guys have been asking about, I get messages all the time about how we do lease options and different strategies that we use to flip lease options. And so I want to encourage you to go watch my masterclass. I just did a new webinar last week, and I called it How to Buy a House for $10 and Use That House to Pay Off All Your College Student Loans. And it was pretty cool. Something I've been thinking a lot about lately, how just one lease option deal will give you enough cash flow okay, let me rewind a little bit. The average former college student, has over $25,000 in student loan debt. Okay. And their monthly payments are over $280 a month on average, right? And if you total in the average credit card debt, which is about $5,000 or $6,000, the total payments, Carlos looks like he's back here.
How's it going?
Carlos, there he is. Cool, man.
All right.
Good. I was just talking about the my webinar at sloclass.com.
Beautiful.
Did you know, Carlos, right now people have on average about $25,000 in student loan debts, right? And about $5,000 to $6,000 in credit card debts that just revolves every single month. The thing I love about this business, man, just one deal can wipe out all of your student loan debt, can wipe out all of your credit card debt. Just one deal. And which is one of the reasons why I love this business, right?
One deal can change your entire life.
Oh, for sure. It certainly can. So if you guys want to watch my class, it's free. Go to sloclass.com, sloclass.com. All right. So Carlos is in the house.
Yes, sir.
And from Phoenix, Arizona, right?
Yes, sir. That's where our headquarters. I'm right here in our headquarters right now.
Nice. So I'm not sure which camera you have or which one you're looking at.
I have the here. Let's see here. Let me try and put it on this one. These things are stupid. Let's see. All right. So I have the Logi.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. Good.
Okay. I'll look right into the camera. There you go. I'll scoot this way. Okay, here we go.
See, look at Carlos, man. He looks professional. He's in his office. I'm in my home office with a T-shirt and a hat that says smoke, which, by the way, I don't smoke. This is a barbecue joint in Dallas, Fort Worth, Carlos. You got to go there. It's just called Smoke. Next time you're in DFW?
I'm there very often. I'm
Yeah.
there very often. Yes, sir. Here, let me actually switch to here. There you go. So I'm there very often. So I may have to try it. I always go to what's that very popular one there, right by the Cowboy Stadium.
Oh, I don't know. The only other barbecue place I know in Dallas is near the Stockyards.
Okay, I've been up to the Stockyards before too. I watched the. I go to Billy Bob's.
Oh yeah,
You've been to Billy Bob's?
I have a long
Billy
time ago.
Bob's is great, man. They got pool tables, they got rodeo, they got freaking honky tonk, they got all kinds of stuff there.
All right, so here we are, guys. Carlos, if you've not heard of Carlos, I'm going to ask him to introduce himself to you here. He's been in the business not that long, but he is one of the biggest wholesalers in the country right now, and doing a ton of deals. And how many different markets are you in right now, Carlos? 15?
12 different markets.
Nice.
Unfortunately, by the way, we're trying to pull out of some
okay.
And we'll get into that, average deal size, things like that. The amount of resources that we spend, and we're gonna get really dive heavy into the numbers. Look, I got a CFO, right? Check out these numbers. Look at these numbers. Watch. Look at these numbers. Look at these numbers everywhere. Look.
I love it.
Quarter one, quarter two, right? We're all about numbers. Look at this. I got all my numbers right here. I'll give you an example. This was as of quarter three when September started. You're gonna find this a little sickening when I tell you this. All right, you ready? Because I found it very sickening too. So, year to date, up until September, because now we're in October. Up until September, the total marketing expenses were $876,150 with 16 cents. So if you calculate that, up until September, we've been spending $97,350 a month in marketing costs every single month. When we started this 4 years ago, our budget was $500 a month.
Well, that's a good thing though, right? Because I've always said this, we're not in the real estate investing business, we're in the marketing business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you want to make a lot of money in business, you've got to invest a lot of money, time, resources, talent into marketing and learn how to generate leads. And you're a master at that, Carlos. You've been doing these all-in mastermind meetings where people come. And I heard about you about 2 years ago, Carlos. You were doing these events in Phoenix, like $5,000 to come in and spend a couple days with you and your team in a small group. And people just were leaving those meetings like on cloud 9 because of the amount of information they got from you guys. Yeah. And we have a mutual friend, Gavin Timms, and he was going to those telling me about these things. But let's rewind a little bit, Carlos. You've got a really cool story of how you got, talk about your parents. It's a gut-wrenching story, but it gives people a lot of context of kind of where you've came from. This is good.
So yeah, as far as my parents go, and I was born in Mexico. I was born in Sonora, Mexico. It's a northern part of Mexico, which thank God, man. Like I live in the greatest country on earth now. It took my mother a very long time to get me first what's called naturalized.
Yeah.
And then I became a citizen in 2012, but that was a very long process. So my mom was so in Mexico, we were born into, I'll be honest with you, man, 99% of people in Mexico are pretty damn poor. We were born into poverty, extreme poverty, and it was dirt, like literally like where I lived, there was dirt roads, and the freaking houses were made out of like almost cardboard material, it was now to see at that point it wasn't abnormal, right? It was the norm, right? It was like, oh, I guess this is what everybody's into. Everybody lives in this kind of environment, so it wasn't really abnormal. And then my mom just wanted a better life for us. My dad used to be very mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive to my mom, and my mom was like, you know what? I can't do this. I got to get myself out of this situation, and I got to get my sons out of this environment and situation, there is no future here. And so she made the trek. She made the journey to California, and she worked there as a field worker. She left me and my brother behind with my grandmother for a year. So that was very hard on me, being a child and not having my mom with me. Wondering like why. As a kid, you don't know any better. You're like, why did she leave? What did I do? Where is she at? And she would. I didn't know the bigger. I didn't know the greater purpose. I didn't. At that, how can you really look at the bigger picture when you're a kid, right? Even if your grandma explains to you, hey, your mom loves you and she's going to be back. She's just trying to make a better life for you and your brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't really make a 5-year-old understand that. So, okay, so she goes on and then she starts working the fields, and she gets what's called amnesty. So she became legal through amnesty in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Because she was a field worker in California. And then her number one priority was to get me and my brother, out of Mexico. And, she worked her ass off. She worked her butt off, worked 2 jobs, got me and my brother over into California. And then, that didn't go too well. We only lasted probably 2 years before we just couldn't make it. California is very expensive.
Yeah.
So we went, we failed economically there in California. Went back to Sonora, Mexico. Now, her and I kind of tag team. I'm doing door-to-door freaking sales, bread. Like I'm selling bread door-to-door.
How old were you?
I was probably around 7 years old.
Wow.
And then I'm doing that, and then I'm also I've even put up pictures of me bagging groceries. I was a grocery bagger at a retail store called La Ley, which is like a Walmart. It's owned by Chinese folks down there. And so I start, I knew English, so I positioned myself by the resorts, and I would bag groceries, and then I would bag it, and I would put it in a cart, and I would take it out to the parking lot, and then it was time, give me right tip. So me and my mother, she was working at the resorts in San Carlos Bay, and I was doing the grocery thing, and I was doing the door-to-door thing with the bread, and then we saved up enough money to send her to Phoenix, and she came to Phoenix, and she started working at the airport, and then she saved up enough money, just because there's so many details. I'm going to cut it short. Brought me over first before he brought my brother over. Before she brought my brother over, and her and I, we used to live in a 2-bedroom apartment with like 12 other people, and her and I used to sleep in the hallway so people walk over us at 6 in the morning when they're getting. It was the typical immigrant story, man, and it wasn't easy. It was very, very hard. It was very, 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 very hard. But you know what? We kept fighting through it, and then we brought my brother over, and she was working 2 jobs, $8.25 an hour at the airport, $7 an hour at the cafeteria at an elementary school, and then it was her and I just started grinding. I was always the man of the house, So I kind of got my hustle and my work ethic from seeing her just do this day in, day out, 7 days a week, and that's where I got a lot of my hustle, and a lot of the good qualities that I have is from my mother. And it's your typical kind of underdog story. We've in California, before we went back, we lived under a freaking tree for 2 days because we didn't have the money. It was. I didn't have much of a childhood, man. I didn't have much of a childhood, and now I have 2 children of my own. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I have a 1-year-old daughter, and I'm trying to do my absolute best to provide for them, and give them a childhood, something that I didn't have. And it wasn't my mother's fault. It was just the cards that we were dealt. I can't blame my mother. I can't blame society. I can't blame God, because I feel like adversity is what got me to where I am today.
Adversity. What's that? Your mess becomes your testimony. Is that the word? Your mess becomes your message. Is that the way it is?
Yeah. So, I always say this. I always say that adversity was my X factor. Everybody has an X factor, right? And I feel like adversity was my X factor. And like that old saying goes, calm waters never made a good sailor, right? So
Yeah.
my waters were stormy for most of my life.
Oh man. And how's your mom doing now? She's still around?
She's living the life. Thank God. She's doing good. You know, I bought her a car. I take care of she has absolutely no bills. No bills. I'm in the process of buying her own home. She lives in the east wing of my east wing, because our house is 4,500 square feet now. So she lives on one side of the house, and I barely even see her. I saw her this morning, and she was helping us with some laundry and things like that. But she lives. She's pretty much retired.
Okay. Good for her.
Thank God. Thank
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about, you're talking about where you were raised, and I was raised in a house like this. Can you see my screen here? Let me share my screen. Do you see that trailer?
Yeah.
That was me, right? I'm that kid right there. My
That's
dad was a janitor,
yeah.
but still, and this was in Edmonton, Alberta. And
Wow.
this thing got really cold in the wintertime. But
Oh yeah.
still, I grew up in a trailer. I was white trailer trash, and I didn't know I was poor, right? I
No,
thought this was normal. I thought everybody
normal.
lived like this.
Yep.
And still, even after hearing your story, let me go back here. I still was way better off than you were. I mean,
Well,
it's
you
just
had 2
insane.
cars, so that's a start.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's amazing. And so you kind of went through some of the stuff we went through when wintertime came around. We really had no heating system, so you can literally do the and like you can see your breath, during the winters. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
man.
we would warm up water to take somewhat of a warm shower. So
Wow.
I'm totally with you, man. Like everybody has their own story, and you know what? No one can take away where you come from and where you are now, because look how far you've come from where you started. We all start differently. We all start differently. My start might have been a little lower, but we both did what we had to do with what we had.
I thank God for our parents too. I know you've talked a lot in your social media before about the rough life your mother had, and it's heart wrenching, man. One of my best friends when I grew up in San Diego was from Mexico. His name was Henry, and I don't think to this day I've never met a harder working mother than his mother. It almost brings tears to my eyes thinking about it. I mean, she had 4 kids, no dad, and the way how hard she worked to provide for her 3 or 4 kids, and it was like 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment, maybe 7. But yeah, I mean, she always had food on the table for her kids.
Oh yeah.
She always made sure they had warm clothes. They got to school, and don't ever mess. Well, what did he call her? I forget the nickname that he had for her, but never mess with her, because man, if he didn't do his schoolwork, if he didn't do the dishes, if he didn't brush his teeth and comb his hair, he was in big trouble, right?
Yeah.
And he grew into a success. He's got his own business now, doing really well. But
That's you know what? Whether we want to accept this or not, our parents play a huge role in what we become, right? Like, he saw his mother struggle, but he saw his mother's work ethic. I saw my mom struggle, but I saw her work ethic, and I saw that she never gave up. I'm like, how the hell does this lady, like she doesn't speak a lick of English.
Yeah.
How the hell does she not give up? Like, she just keeps going and going and going. And it's, to us, it's like, for me, it's easy for me, even though it was hard. It's a lot easier than how she had it. It's a lot easier than when she had it. And I feel like we get a lot of our either work ethic or qualities or personality traits from our parents in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Okay, so how did you get into real estate? What were you doing when you were done with school, or when you started joining the workforce?
Yeah, so I joined the workforce straight out of high school. Straight out of high school, I had no choice, man. Like, bills needed to get paid at home, and I started at making $10.25 an hour. I was a shift manager, and I was working for this company. And this company, it was kind of the corporate structure. I started as a 17-year-old there, and I did really well. I was at that point, I think I consider myself an intrapreneur, right? Intrapreneur, and I started climbing very, very fast. And you know what? I became I was the youngest retail branch manager to ever exist with this company. It was called CM Retail Management. And I was a 19-year-old branch manager. So a lot of my my people skills and my development capacity as far as personnel goes, it came from the corporate structure, and that's why like we for the most part we normally have a massive team, and we develop a really good team, and we have really good onboarding processes for them, and a lot of us don't understand this, right? Even though we may not be where we want to be when we're in a corporate structure or the 9 to 5, right? We may complain and there's more to life than this, I can do better. But little do we know that we're getting all these skills from these different experiences and jobs, that like how would I ever see that far past my current situation, that I'm like, oh my God, I'm developing management skills because one day I may have a company of my own and I'm going to have to hire and develop, people within my organization. Like, no, I wasn't thinking about that at the time, but I've always been very thankful and grateful for everything, man. Like, just having a job, it was a milestone for me to make more than my mom. When I got started making $10.25 an hour, I came home when I got my first check, and I showed it to her. I'm like, look, Mom, I'm making $10.25 an hour, and she was so happy for me because she never made more than $8.25 an hour,
Wow.
So that was a milestone. Now our parents want us to do better than them, right? So that was a milestone for me.
One day your kids are going to come to you and show you a check that's more than what you're making now. How cool is that?
God willing, God willing, and you know what? But I'm also programming them that it's not all about the checks and the money. It's about being happy. It's about being fulfilled. It's about living a life with purpose. I'm my 7-year-old. Like I talk to her every morning. I drop her off at school every single morning. And if we're not listening to like our church music, our Christian music, we're going back and forth, and we're talking life, and we're talking perspective, and we're talking programming, because you know what? She may not have that X factor as far as adversity that I had, but she's going to have programming. That's something I didn't really have, right? So I'm trying to, I'm trying to raise her with whatever tools I've been given. She may not have adversity, so I'm like, okay, well, she's not really going to have to go through, all the shit that I had to go through, but I somehow got to prepare this young person, this child, to be successful in life. So I got to start start programming her. I got to start giving her knowledge that wasn't given to me at her age. So we all do it differently, right? But back to the whole corporate structure thing. I worked in corporate America for 14 years, man.
Wow, that long? I didn't know it was that long.
Well, I started working at a very young age. I'm 34.
Okay.
I'm 34 now, and I started working at a very, very young age, and it's all I knew. And but I always, I was an entrepreneur by heart, and I always had an itch to grow and grow and grow and grow. So I was doing things on the side always, like flipping cars, flipping clothes, whatever I can get my hands on, making connections, whatever on the side, because it just wasn't enough for me. It wasn't so much the money; it was the fulfillment part, the growth part.
Good. All right. So how'd you find out about real estate? When did you meet your partners, Sal and Alex? What was the timeline of all that?
Well, in the real estate, with our real estate organization, my business partner is Sal. Alex has his own company. It's called Home Offer, homeoffer.com, right? He has his own company. He's a one-man show, and he has his own company. But me and Sal were partners with National Cash Offer and offerkey.com. So we have our organization totally separate. He has a different office. He's across the hallway. What we do together is the all-in entrepreneur stuff, the podcast and the education and stuff like that. But Sal and I, we met in 2013, and we became just really like best friends. We became brothers. We had so much in common. Oh, there's Sal there. You want to say what's up to Joe McCall?
Mr. Joe McCall.
Sal, how you doing, man?
Man? I heard so many good things about you.
I can't wait to meet you guys.
Likewise.
It's an honor.
Nothing much, man. Just having a live podcast with Joe. Yeah, it's live. So anyway, met him in 2013. For sure. Became best friends with him. And then we we became really good friends first. We didn't do any business first. Then we started doing a little business. He was already flipping cars. He had just opened up this small little retail shop of cars. How many cars do you think you had on that lot?
24.
24 cars on that lot, right? Used cars. And, he liked my work ethic. He liked the way I did things. I liked the way he did things. And then in 2015, literally really late 2015, we were like, look, man, we got to do something, man. We got to do something together. Let's do something. And we're like, what should we do? Car wash, coffee shop. What else were we thinking about? Car wash, coffee shops.
We even thought about strip clubs.
I'm not going to say that. So yeah, we thought of all kinds of different business ventures. And then I was like, look, I've always wanted to do real estate. I've always wanted to do real estate. And he was like, well, what do you know about real estate? I said, not much. Give me some time. Started studying, Nick Reyes, Alpha Home Flipping, Sean Terry, Flip to Freedom, right? I started just going in on all their stuff, free webinars, Flip to Freedom events. I just started you know how it is, man. When you're just going, like, you become obsessed, right?
Yeah.
You become obsessed. You know what? I could say, I don't want to say lucky enough, but I was gifted by God to just become, I have this obsessive personality, right? This addictive personality that once I grab onto something, I go, and I can't get enough, right? So that's what happened. I became obsessed, and then Sal, I brought some stuff over to Sal, and Sal became obsessed, and then, we technically really launched in 2016, which was 3 years and a little bit over 3.5 years for sure. And then, we just, the rest is history. We started grinding, man. We started doing everything and anything that we could to get our first deal. And it took us 6 months to land our first deal, 6 months.
And you were doing this in Phoenix,
Arizona, man. It was super competitive. You got all the educators and gurus here. You got the Sean Terrys of the world. You got the Cody Spurbers of the world. You have everybody. This is like the guru capital of the world, Phoenix, Arizona.
You got Dean Graziosi also.
Dean Graziosi's here. Everybody's here.
That's crazy. So you chose, and even back then in 2016, Phoenix was still very, very competitive back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so why did you decide Phoenix? And looking back, would you have done it differently?
Well, I didn't know any better. I didn't know what. It was our backyard. I didn't know what virtual wholesaling was, right? So, I heard something this morning. It was called conscious incompetence.
Yeah.
It was our incompetence that led us to start doing this.
You just didn't know you weren't supposed. Yeah.
But our first market was Las Vegas, Nevada. Right out, we were like, okay, Phoenix is great. We did some bandit signs and landed our first deal, made $5K, put that back into mail marketing. Believe it or not, mail marketing was hitting pretty strong back then. We did mail marketing with another company. What is Jared's company called? Highest Cash Offer. Jared Vidalis, right? So we did, hey, we're scared to spend money on marketing. You're scared to spend money on marketing. Let's put a $2,500 campaign together. $1,250 here, $1,250 there. What was that? 5,000 pieces of mail, maybe 5,000. I don't know, but we netted we netted, or actually no, we grossed $60K our first campaign, so $30K their way, $30K our way. Let's do it again. We were still very scared to market. $1,250 there, $1,250 here. Netted, gross $30K again, and then after that we were like, okay, guys, you guys do your thing, we do ours. This marketing thing seems to work, and then you guys, let's just go our separate ways.
Nice.
So
excellent.
So yeah.
That was 2016. You're now doing deals in Phoenix, and you're doing just a lot of direct mail. One of the things that you're known for are your KPIs. You and Sal, when you do your live events, you're about the numbers, which I love. We saw on your window the other day.
Absolutely, this is all we do all day, every day. All day, every day. We are about the numbers. I can tell you, how much we've spent into a particular market and what marketing avenue, and then how much money we got back as far as ROI and things like that. So we're very strong. We weren't, by the way, the first 2 years we were flying completely blind. This started in January of 2019. When we hired our CFO, we started digging really deep. We were kind of already, trying to dig, but we just didn't have the knowledge to really dig deep like we do now with our CFO. I mean, she's taken what 3 days, 4 days now working from home just to get our QuickBooks right.
So we have some files.
Yeah. So we're heavy now. We're really heavy into every single number in our organization because we like to look at our company now in black and white. Like, okay, this works, this doesn't. Data, right? So we spent, $864,000, like I said earlier, in marketing. Let me go back, $876,150.16. It brought back 5x. Okay, we're good. We're not at our goal. Our goal this year was 7 mil. We're not going to hit it. It's unrealistic to say we're going to hit it. But you know what? We know what we have to tweak, where we have to, put the volume down and put the volume up. We know if it's the personnel side because they're not converting, the leads to conversion ratio isn't happening, or the marketing isn't giving back the response rate, or things like that. So we know every single moving part now, or at least we like to think that we know because of our KPIs.
All right. Somebody told me one time in a mastermind that I was in that if you don't know your numbers, you don't have a real business.
Absolutely.
And I was doing over 7 figures a year thinking, what do you mean I don't have a real business? But he was absolutely right. Because I was just 45, 60 days away from bankruptcy, right?
Wow.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't have a real business. Brandon is saying here KPIs are a game changer for us. Totally.
Yeah. So if you don't know your numbers, it's going to be very difficult to scale it. It's just to scale it the right way. It's if you're one of those guys, and 90% of people out there, 9 out of 10 people are doing it this way. We did it this way. You did it this way. Well, I see money leave, but I see more money come in, so I think I'm doing okay. A lot of people are doing. That's the way they're flying, and you know what? At some point, it's going to be a really harsh reality, because how do you know what marketing avenue to pull out from? How do you know which one to turn it up on? How do you know which market, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Vegas, whatever. How do you know which market to turn it down in or completely pull out? Like you're not going to know these things if you're not keeping track. If you're just not.
Eric Frog's got it here. It's inspirational. That's good. Ty, love this podcast. Hey guys, listen, we only got about 10, 15 more minutes left with Carlos. So if you got any questions, please type them in. Do you know Haim? Super cool guy.
I love Haim. Haim's out of the Bay Area. Haim's one of our, he's actually one of our most favored people. We absolutely love Haim. Haim is the epitome of what fulfillment and happiness. This guy is amazing. He has it pretty. I mean, he has it as close as you're going to get to balancing. He has it.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Me and Sal don't. We're not very balanced people at all. We try. Maybe we're just still in the building stage, but we're not quite there yet.
All right. Got more questions for you here. How many different markets are you in now? About a dozen. Is that what you said, right?
12.
Okay. And how did you pick those markets? What made you decide, you know what, let's go bigger. Let's go into these other markets.
We always run specific data that we kind of have our process of like, okay, this is what's going to make us go into this market, right? We look at small things, and just to keep it very, very vague, we look at things like, okay, what are, how many cash transactions in that market? What are the average days on the market in that specific market? What else do we look at, Sal? We look at specific average medium sales home sales price in that market. What other things can you think of when we run our data? And we run some of these things through like Infusionsoft. What's the other zip code data that we provide that we do?
Zip code,
Is it zip codes to go? So we look at so many different factors before we pull the trigger on the market. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, look at New York seems to be fine. I would never do business in New York, to be quite honest with you.
I know.
No, we look at different things. We look at some of those factors, and that's how we pull the trigger and say, you know what, this is a market worth digging into.
We just hired a data scientist.
We just hired a data scientist too.
All our deals.
And that's going to be extremely, extremely helpful. Believe it or not, we haven't had a data scientist this far And if you're doing 7 figures in your business a year, 8 figures, I mean, the goal is to everybody to do 8 figures, right? You definitely need to hire a data scientist. What are we paying this data scientist?
I don't know. I have 2 of them. One of them is a proposal. They're different proposals.
It's going to run you anywhere from like 20 to 30 bucks an hour, but it's worth or more, but it's worth it because you know what? Now you can take a look at all your deals and then create almost a target audience for your marketing too.
Right? Well, at least a fractional CFO, you know, somebody that can help you with these, coming up with the numbers and interpreting them.
Well, that's not a non-negotiable. If you're doing 7 figures a year, you need to hire a CFO.
Mm-hmm.
That's a non-negotiable because that's how you're going to be able to get all these, you know, like she put this together for us last week. It was a marketing meeting. She gave us every single, quarter 3, quarter. This is all quarter 3 there, quarter 2 closed, all quarter 2, like every single market, every single number, you know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, California markets, Vegas markets, Henderson, Ohio. So she gives us everything. If you're doing 7 figures, you have to hire a CFO for sure.
Excellent. Okay, so you got the markets that you're in. This is a question from Damien. What are some of your favorite marketing channels for lead gen that are working for you today?
So for the longest time, in this order, this is what it was. It was pay-per-click, magnusdigital.com, MAGNUS digital.com, Magnus Digital. Pay-per-click for the longest time. Pay-per-click took our business from being a mom and pop shop to being an actual player in the game, okay? Pay-per-click. Second was direct mail, and third was cold calling. But right now, it's cold calling, pay-per-click, and then direct mail. We use turboletters.com through direct mail, and we use the Google Postcard version 1 and version 2 of the Google Postcard. They both have had a really good response rate, and our ROI on that it actually went from 10 to 8, but 8 is still a good ROI for mail.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But again, cold calling, we use callgeeks.com, cold calling, English speakers level 5. So cold calling, pay-per-click, and then direct mail. But it used to be pay-per-click, direct mail, and cold calling. So you know how it is. The market is constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. And that's why you got to keep an eye on your numbers to know where to prioritize and move.
Good. You've got some other businesses, Carlos, that you run as well. Would you mind talking about some of the other things that you're doing in addition to the real estate?
For sure. So we have a solar company. It's called Solar Fuse, solarfuse.com. We launched that business. When did we launch that business, Sal?
We're going to 2 months in like less than a week.
So it's going to be 2 months now, but it's already going to net a good amount of money. Our goal for the 3-year trajectory is at the 3-year mark, we want to be producing $5 million gross for that company, but it's already doing pretty well, thank God. And you know what's really been helping that company? The way that we market with real estate is the way that we're marketing through the solar company, and it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like plug and play,
That's why I love this. We're not real estate investors.
We're marketers.
That do marketing. We're marketers that do real estate investing.
Absolutely.
Because once you learn how to do marketing, you can run this in any kind of business, any business that you want.
So
what else do you do?
Our solar company's taken off. We have National Medical Surplus. That company does about 4.2 gross. So that company is a distribution company for aftermarket medical supplies. That's doing extremely well. We have inventorycity.com. That's an import-export company. And, that's the only company that's been losing, that we've lost money in. But Sal's telling me that we're going to turn around very soon. But that's an import-export company from China that we run. We do a lot of technological parts, like what do we do there? Like the LCD screens for phones, like iPhones, things like that. Massive units of that. We're going into the CBD. The CBD kind of realm with Inventory City. So we do that. We have a couple. We have digital marketing companies. We have what else can you think of, Sal? That's very, very productive for us.
we have this big projects working on. Let me log it. See
Well, what would you say?
The medical commodity.
Well, I already told about the medical company. That's doing pretty well.
Cash bars, investor automation.
Oh, investorautomation.com. That's a very good. That company there is it's Podio, but Podio on steroids. It's
all the KPIs are all there.
Yeah, your KPIs are investorautomation.com. Your Podio for investors. That way you can actually scale your business. It's called the Hercules. It's a Podio that's structured for investors to actually grow companies, scale companies, not just like one person or two people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it's all across the board for sure.
Damien has a question here. No RVM, or are you testing it currently? Ringless voicemail.
No, we do RVM and SMS through leadblastpro.com. And our ROI on texting right now. Here, I can give you the numbers. Let me look. So 161, 20, yep, 23. I got you. Ready? 705, 23035. 7x return on SMS, leadblastpro.com. So RVM is very low. It's 2.1x return. Again, I know it's good to know all your numbers, So SMS is solid, but again, legal disclaimer here, you got to be very careful with some of these marketing strategies. Consult with an attorney, just because you should run your list through. There's this platform that we run. It's called dncpros.com. We run all our stuff through dncpros.com because you don't want to get yourself into legalities and legal battles. You want to worry about making money. You want to worry about growing your business. You know how that is, man. Those things are a headache.
Oh yeah. Cool. Talk about. We got a few more minutes here, Carlos. Talk about these events that you do. There are a couple. How many times a year do you do them? The all-in master.
Twice a year. It's only twice a year. See, we're not really educators, right? We're just guys that our passion is business. That's our passion. Our passion is business. So we're not really educators. Now, do we know how to throw these events? Yeah, we just started. We went to an event. We had a really bad taste in our mouth. We paid $3,000 and we just had a really bad taste in our mouth. We came back and we're like, you know what, guys? We got to do something. We have a really bad taste in my mouth. Let's do something. Boom. We threw our first event in June. It was a success. We threw another event in September of 2018. It was a success. And then we threw, this is called Momentum, by the way, attendmomentum.com. This is your kind of higher scale entrepreneur. Like I want to go from a real estate hustler / entrepreneur to a CEO. I want to actually build and scale. Oh, thank you, by the way. I want to actually build a company and actually create a well-oiled machine so that I can take some days off. I can live somewhat of a life with some with time freedom, not just financial freedom, but the freedom of time where I can take my family out somewhere for a week or two and the well-oiled machine is still pumping deals. We actually teach you this stuff at Momentum, from your hiring process to your pay structure for all your positions and things like that. So it's a very amazing event.
You keep these small too. They're not like 500 people.
No. This isn't a growth conference, guys. This is a mastermind. We kind of keep it to 100, 150 max.
Nice.
We're not looking. This is the thing. Like we're not looking to be like clout chasers. Like we want to have all our 2-day hot seat events have always been very personal.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, it's all about business. So if someone's looking for like a raw event, they got to go to another event because our event is like it's 20 hours, 10 hours and 10 hours of just straight like, oh my God, just writing. It's amazing. It's like the Harvard of real estate.
I love it. Yeah, I tell people too, listen, if you want inspiration, go watch Tony Robbins on YouTube or something.
That's Tony Robbins. Yes, sir.
He's got a lot of it. Okay, so you've given a lot of links and notes. I just want to let everybody know that if you go to the podcast website, realestateinvestingmastery.com, you can get all the show notes of this podcast and you can actually see the transcript of everything.
Absolutely.
Carlos, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? Can they just follow you on Instagram?
My Instagram account is official Carlos Reyes, and then I'm also on Facebook. I'm almost at that capacity, the 5,000 friends capacity on Facebook, which is stupid. So I do have a business page there too, Carlos Reyes. And then on YouTube, official Carlos Reyes also drop. Oh, you misspelled.
Oh, that was bad.
Carlo. That would have been a cool name.
Sorry about that. Here we go. Official. How's that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you know what? I'm very responsive. Even though I have freaking 249,000 followers on there, thank God, because we've been pumping money into this thing. We've been pumping content into this thing, as you can see. So it hasn't been easy to grow this thing, but it's grown over the past 3 years. But I'm still very, very responsive. And you and I actually first made contact through there. Very responsive on social media. I try to be as helpful as I can. Like, people ask me, like, hey man, I got this deal, what do I do? And then I just boom, I try to, I learned that from like Gary Vee and Sean Terry, that you should always respond to your audience.
That's very good.
Yeah.
And Carlos is very entertaining and engaging on Instagram. I don't watch many people on the IG, but when I do, I see Carlos.
Thank you, I appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate you and Sal. Thank you, Sal, for everything you guys are doing over there.
Sure.
We'll meet soon.
We got to meet soon in person. By the way, I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan myself.
I'm not wearing my Cardinals hat.
And no, it goes all the way back to the Mark McGwire days. That was my favorite.
Really?
Yep. Growing up, I wore number 25.
Oh man,
I was a first baseman. I'm 6'2", 240 pounds, so I'm a pretty big boy. So Mark McGwire was my guy. That was my favorite guy.
I knew there was something else I liked about you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Again, guys, get the show notes. Go to realestateinvestingmastery.com. Check out their event, attendmomentum.com, attendmomentum.com. You can follow.
At some point, if you don't mind, I got to have you on our podcast and talk, creative financing.
Let's do it.
I tell people you're the creative financing king. So we'll fly you in. We'll take care of you, and everything will be good. We'll go on live and everything, and we'll teach people some creative financing.
It'll be better than this live.
Sure. Hey, you know what? What it comes down to is serving, right? The serving the people the right way, and I know that you've been serving the people the right way. Look at this. Carlos is the most responsive figure in this industry. Josh Wagner, thank you, brother. Thank you. God bless your wife, by the way, Josh. I'm so glad you got the good news, and I'll see you soon. See, I love to keep up with people, like their personal stories,
Yeah. All right, man. We got to go. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, brother. God bless you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.